What should you take with yourself for scoliosis surgery and why? So I got my surgery in 2022, and back then there was literally nothing on scoliosis on the internet. That is when I started my TikTok because I was so surprised at the fact that there was absolutely nothing. So I went to the surgery room kind of like blindly. I didn't know what to take. And even though I packed a really big bag, there was still things missing, and I had my uncle go back to my house and bring it. So I'm gonna tell you everything that you need to buy for recovery, for surgery, before and after. And on other videos, I'll cover how does the surgery go and what to expect and what are the side effects and all of those things. So stay tuned. Also, if you want to buy any of these items, go to the link in my bio or the bottom of this video and you will find a link which you can click and find and buy all of the items individually, or the ones that you don't have, or you can buy a pack in general as well. So let's start with the thing that I actually found the most helpful at the hospital, and that was my pillow. So I have a scoliosis pillow, like a ergonomic pillow, and I'm sure that a lot of people do, the ones who struggle with scoliosis. But I feel like when you live with scoliosis, you just get used to your pillow, where every other pillow hurts your back. And the hospital pillows were for some reason really uncomfortable. So the moment that I woke up from my surgery, I started screaming and asking for my pillow. I also had taken a lot of entertainment with myself, books and Nintendo Switch and stuff, which I didn't end up using except for the night before my surgery. I had my laptop, I just watched the movie. Except that night before, I didn't really use any of it because afterwards I was on so much drugs. So what should you take to the hospital? So this is what I would put in my hospital bag if I was gonna go right now. So number one thing I would take definitely is compression socks. So any sort of socks that are comfortable, but you can also walk in them, because in the whole my hospital stay, I didn't really wear shoes or slippers or whatever. I just walked around with my socks. Because of course they clean the hospital and stuff, but it was just more comfortable to walk in my socks than to wear shoes. To wear shoes in that state of mind, it would have been hell. But if you don't like wearing socks, or if you want more protection, you can also buy a pair of slippers with hard soles, so they make sure that they're not floppy or anything, and just a comfortable pair of slippers that are good. And those ones were good as well, because as soon as you wake up, a few hours later they make you walk to make sure everything's all right. And it's also super important for your recovery to be able to walk. So they will make you walk, so you need a pair of slippers or socks. For clothes, I've seen a lot of people say that you should buy button-up pajamas, and I honestly do not know if that's a good idea or not. I bought them, and I think it is, because it is easier to take off and put on than to like pull up your hands and everything. But I don't know if that's actually really necessary. I would have been fine wearing t-shirts, baggy t-shirts, anything that isn't tight as well, or just the hospital clothes. But I would recommend soft pajamas that are button up or easy to wear. I also bought a few pairs of underwear that weren't hard, with no the tight thing around it. I don't know what to call it in English, but I do not know if that is also necessary. I don't really wear underwear. Good to buy a long phone cable and a power bank. Actually, not for yourself, but your family who's staying there. Also eye mask, because they might have to sleep in uncomfortable positions at inconvenient hours, especially when you're in the surgery room, which takes a few hours, or you're recovering, and there might not be a bed and it might not be morning, and you will be sleeping the whole time, but they would be there and having to sleep at different times, especially because if you wake up during the night. But it's also good for yourself in case there's no plugs close to you and you would need your phone at some point. It's just safe to have for a visit like this, because it's gonna be a few days and you don't know this. Another important item is a reusable water bottle. Of course, reusable normal water bottles. But something important is that this was something that my hospital gave me. I also took with a water bottle with me, but it was like a sippy cup, because it is really important that you would be able to sip while lying down. So you need to keep in your minds that you will not be able to walk and sit up for a month. That means that, for example, I have this water bottle. I don't have the exact one, but this is something I got at an event. If it has a straw, make sure that this straw comes off If you can take off a straw, that's good, because then you can use it sitting down and lying down. Because now this way, I would have to sit. This one might be a bit broken. Oh no! You see? There are some problems. But another thing that I would say take to the hospital is if you have any sort of comfort, plushy blanket type thing at home, it is really good to have it. I do not really remember a lot from my hospital stay, but I have a lot of pictures which I was holding my plushie in my hands the whole time. So now the stuff that you should buy for your recovery and at home. So we have the pajamas, we have the slippers, because the same thing goes on with the water bottle and everything, because that you will use them in the hospital and at home. But I will start off with the basics, so eating and your gut health in general. Usually after the surgery, due to all of the drugs they give you and other types of problems, your gut is not comfortable, and you will probably throw up a lot of the food that you eat, and you will be nauseous the whole time. That was the most horrible thing about it, being nauseous, and it will be hard to eat. The smell of food would bother you like a pregnant woman. However, what I realized was that most of the time when I was in the hospital and at home, I found it more comforting to eat protein drinks. So like protein shake, not protein shake, but a meal in drink type things. They usually sell them in the normal grocery stores, Tesco, Walmart, whatever you have. A type of stuff that gym people eat, but also it is for sick people who cannot eat as well. So it's like a lot of protein and carbs and everything in one drink, and you just drink it and you're done with it. And it might also hurt your stomach, but it's better than eating nothing. Just be careful when you're eating it if you are lactose intolerant like me, because they cause even more problems afterwards sometimes. The most important item of recovery was this grabber tool. Yes, this is the same one they use to grab garbage on the streets. However, it is the most helpful thing ever. I still have it in my parents' house. So you just can grab things without being there, and it is really good, because imagine you are going to spend a month in bed. It will be super hard for you to move. Drop your water bottle, drop something, phone, whatever. But the best part was that you cannot bend for 2 months. Like, it's very uncomfortable for you to bend and pick things off the floor. Also a very helpful thing to have, because you do not need to bend the whole way. I know that old people use it sometimes when they have bad knees and stuff, but come on, we are kind of like old people when we're going through surgery. Just get over it, move on. Of course, we have the hygiene stuff, which is dry shampoo. It would be good if you can get a little bucket where someone can help you wash your hair. That is what my mom did for me, and it was super helpful, because I refused to wash my hair because I couldn't go to the shower. I felt disgusting. It was so bad, and I couldn't sit up for so long. It was just disgusting. So I just lied on the couch, and my mom on the side of the couch, so my head was out. And then my mom washed my hair. Lie like this. And then she puts the bucket here. And then she washes your hair with water. Another really helpful item is slippery bed sheets, because rolling in and out of bed was a very hard task. So having the slippers where you can roll in and roll out was actually quite a helpful thing. I used it at least for the first 2 weeks. It was very helpful to have it so I can roll out of and in the bed easily. And of course, for the recovery, you will need an entertainment source. So whatever it is, a new series to binge on your laptop or your tablet, phone, or TV preferably, that would be the best, because you will feel like a potato spending a month on your bed doing nothing. You do actually feel like a potato. And you are a potato, because you cannot do much. You cannot really walk. But it is also good to have some comfortable clothes, because you will be forced to go on walks outside of your house. After the first week, it will be like a half an hour walk at least. Up to an hour, you have to raise it slowly. And that is something that I do recommend. But the whole surgery journey is very draining and very exhausting and very hard to go through. So make sure that you have people who support you and understand you, and make sure that all of your circle reads about it. You can send them my videos, you can send them TikToks, they can watch my videos, they can read TikToks. And do not expect yourself to get better very quickly, especially because when you're in that horrible level of pain, you just feel like it's the end of the world, and you keep thinking about the fact that what if it doesn't get better? Because also at the same time where you have to be careful with the content that you watch, because there are people out there who did not get better, and that is a possibility, but it's very, very low. 99% chance you will get better and everything will be all right. You have to keep a positive mind, because the whole time I was crying and weeping over the fact that what if I don't get rid of this pain? What if I'm in this forever? And that surgery changed my life, because up to this day I still think about the people who are like that forever. Not even the pain part, the part that they cannot walk. It was horrible. Mentally, it was affecting me so much, and I could not bear the thought of staying in that conditions forever. And how long it might last. And you feel cloudy from the drugs and the pain, and you cannot think clearly, and you feel alone because it's been weeks and you haven't seen anyone, and you go to Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and all these people are having fun and going out, and maybe it's summer or winter, Christmas time, and everyone's go out there doing something, and you're just stuck at home being absolutely useless. But it gets better. It is the best decision that I've ever made in my entire life. You have to believe that it's going to get better, and you will get good, and everything will be solved.